Swedish couple Jonas and Ingrid Akerblom built their own yacht for a trip around the world they would always remember. But the first leg of that trip is one that they will now remember for a very different reason.
When we took all the sails down, it was the biggest seas we've seen. And the wind was hard. Later on, it was really increasing all the time. And then at a certain point, the seas grew even worse and we almost capsized. And then we started to understand if it don't start to decrease, we will be just on the cliffs in Scotland in the middle of the night.
We wanted people to know that we were out there, so we tried with this pom-pom, just so that we know that someone out there knows where we were. Pom-pom, pom-pom, pom-pom. This is sailing yacht Ouhm.
We were just getting ready to wrap up and go home for a weekend when we heard the Coast Guard obviously speaking of the yacht, which was in distress, and we thought, oh no, who's out there in this weather?
It was a terrible, terrible gale. It was about force 9.
The weather conditions were terrible. I mean, I've been a fisherman for many years. I've been round Britain on lifeboats and I've never seen weather like that before.
The launching procedure we have at Dunbar, obviously once the pagers had went off and the crew was picked, we actually have to travel 6 miles by Station Land Rover along the major road. Once we arrived on scene at the site of launch, you know, the weather conditions was quite bad for launching because it's a davit launch.
When we started off from Torness, it's quite frequently sort of fairly lumpy there, but it got progressively worse the further we went out, and it was very difficult just holding yourself in your seat. There's lots of things flying around, so anything that wasn't actually strapped down was moving. On a couple of occasions when we hit really, really big waves, the boat shuddered and came to a stop.
It was just the swell and then the wind on top of it. It was a sea I'd never been out in before.
We got knocked on our side a couple of times, yeah. It was quite a strange situation because we were heading into the weather, but a couple of these waves came out from our right-hand side and got us side on, which was quite bizarre. They just came out of nowhere and it got us right on our side, so it was a bit of a hairy moment.
Once she came up right, we all looked at each other, you know, brushed our shoulders and then agreed to continue, you know, so that's what we've done. Once we got on scene, it was slightly a different matter, you know. We couldn't even see the yacht, and we were only lying 200 yards from it.
Luckily, I did put one of his masthead lights on. If I hadn't have done that, we would have found it very difficult. But we just kept on seeing his light coming up above the waves. Just with the height of the waves, we're taller than him, so it was like hiding behind them. And we knew there and then, there's no way we could have towed that yacht home. No way whatsoever.
Gary suggested that we abandon the ship then.
It took them about a minute, you know. Even though they didn't want to, they knew that was the best option. So it was suggested, you know, to abandon to a life raft and things like that. And unfortunately, they didn't have one, you know. So that's when really my heart sunk, knowing fine that I had to somehow manoeuvre alongside close enough to get them off, you know.
So we got the fenders out and got the boat ready to go alongside, and then we discussed who was going to do what. We got lined up and got harnesses on the side of the boat and gave Gary the thumbs up, said we're ready to go, and went for it basically.
So I came up from the hatch, so then I saw this boat so very close to us and this man waving.
On the first attempt, when we tried it, we had to abandon because a breaking wave came over the top of us.
And it was at that point I was screaming at Gary, go full astern, which he duly done, and the yacht basically just came fleeing past the front of the Trent, narrowly missing us.
The second attempt, we tried a different approach and we turned it at the last minute, and one of the lads managed to take the female off the yacht first.
Because of the situation, she was having to jump because we couldn't get very close because we would collide with them. So really everybody had their hands out ready to grab her. I think probably everyone had a hold of her.
For Gary to be able to get the boat alongside like that, it was a great bit of boat handling.
So we turned and we went up into the swell, you know, and same again at the very last minute, we turned sharp to port, and the boats came alongside each other, and it was a case of to grab them, get them off as soon as we can.
When we went alongside, to be honest, decided he was going to try and come through the railings instead of up over the top. And I think at one point, by the time the guys actually got him over the rail, I think his feet were in the air. So I think he kind of came up and over, but head first. So, but at the end of the day, we got him on the boat. We didn't hurt him. So.
Gary and his whole crew, they did an incredible good and risky job when they picked us up, as I see it, and much more than you can expect anyone to do for you.
On the way home back to Dunbar, we decided to try and phone the local hotel and get them booked in, and you know, have something to eat and obviously a little drink to calm their nerves. So that's what we've done. We booked them into the local hotel, paid for their accommodation, and looked after them.
Well, I think Gary displayed tremendous skill, because if you're trying to go alongside a small 24-foot boat with the 10 and 15 metre waves coming at you, it takes really tremendous skill. And I know that Gary's got the skill, and that's why I'm pleased that he's your coxswain.
He's a fantastic coxswain, he's a friend, and I don't think anybody else could have done what he done that night.